All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing our weekly review for this week's episode of Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. Now, for episode 14, it is called Divine Providence. Alright, and spoiler warning for this episode if you guys have not seen it yet for Fear the Walking Dead Season 7. So this is the third last episode of Season 7, Episode 14, Divine Providence. And then there'll be two more. Episode 15, I think it's called Amina. And Episode 16, I don't see the title just yet. However, I am excited to see this season wrap up in that we still have not seen the premiere for Kim Dickens' character of Madison in Fear the Walking Dead Season 7 second half, but she was in the trailer, which I think would have been filmed before they started filming for Fear the Walking Dead Season 8. So it sounds like to me, yes, she'll be a season regular in Season 8 of Fear the Walking Dead, but that we should see her before this, in these final two episodes, I should say. We should see Madison return in either episode 15 or 16 at this point, yeah. Now, this episode was absolutely awesome. I think one of the best episodes Fear the Walking Dead has had in a long time. Probably the best episode of this whole season so far, I want to say. In this episode, we see most of what is likely the tower, the battle for the tower kind of play out. We have Morgan, who has left with Mo in order to keep Mo out of harm's way during this battle, which definitely, does make sense that you'd want to get the baby out of the way when all this stuff is going down. And we do see a lot of craziness go down in this episode. Starting things off, we have Alicia's group at the radio tower outside of the tower, communicating with Strand, and we get a Wes intro for this episode. So once I saw the Wes intro for the episode, I thought, okay, maybe they'll kill Wes off in this episode, maybe it'll happen, and spoilers to follow. That's what we see happen in this episode. Really feel like Strand made a huge mistake in throwing Howard off of the tower. He's like, "You're fired." It's like, "Trust tower, you're fired," off the tower. Because now his number 2 position is kind of open, I want to say, and it's sort of taken over kind of by Wes, but only it feels like kind of, sort of. And now we maybe get the idea of why Wes went to join the tower. Is it possible that Wes had a plan in mind the whole time to kind of go there and then try to take the place over at some point here? Because he was tired of listening to different people and having different people tell him what to do and what's what. So he goes here, and in this episode we see him turn on Strand with a lot of Strand's, fighters, rangers, whatever you want to call them. I think we're still using that word as carryover from Virginia. So we see him turn on Strand after Strand has sort of worked things out with Alicia. And Strand is like a really strange character, right? Like, I wouldn't say him throwing Howard off the tower is really out of character. I thought it was strange because Howard is such a good number 2 for Strand, but it didn't necessarily feel contrived because Strand is so crazy that sometimes he just does this crazy shit that you would never, that just would be totally illogical, but that's how he's always been throughout the entire series. So it's not like a new thing that all of a sudden Strand does something that's totally weird and you're like, why the hell did he do that? I do still get that, why the hell would you do that? However, at the same time, I would not say that it's out of character for him, because sometimes he just does this, he kind of makes it up as he goes along and he just does crazy shit, right? So Wes somehow ends up kind of taking over Strand's group. He sort of takes over the Rangers and the fighters of the tower, I guess. You could say maybe he took over the military of the tower and then turns on Strand after Strand has amended things with Alicia and kind of revealed that he's sort of like a surrogate father figure for her, which is a good theme in this episode, that you have Daniel, you have him searching for his daughter, Ophelia, who he's got the bump on the head, so he does not remember that Ophelia is actually dead at this point. And throughout this episode as well, Daniel rediscovers that, oh yeah, and he kind of regains the memories back once he sees Strand and Alicia, and he kind of sees Charlie and he remembers back. It's sort of maybe seeing Charlie sick and maybe in her final moments kind of jars something for him, and he kind of comes back to it in this episode, decides not to kill Strand when, after Strand has told him that Ophelia is in the tower, she's here, even knowing that, it's not the case, but using Daniel to his advantage to fight off Wes's soldiers, I guess, at this point. And I do like some good lines from him that, never too late to learn a lesson when you handcuff somebody. Put the handcuffs behind their back, not in front. So he chokes the guard to death with the handcuffs. So Daniel's still a force to be reckoned with. I'm happy that he's still alive in Fear the Walking Dead. There are some rumors that he may not be here for season 8, so I don't know how that's going to work out. But he's really great. If his story ends pretty soon, I wouldn't be too disappointed, because he's had a lot of time. He's been really awesome all throughout. And this recent story arc for him, I feel like, is kind of finished off now with him finding Charlie and wanting to spend time with her in her last moments, it seems like, unless she can somehow turn things around here and manage to heal up. So we get the West intro. We get lots of action this episode, back and forths and discussions with Alicia and Strand, what to do. Some good action on the staircase and stuff. They wear gas masks. They use like tear gas and stuff. It's good, and ultimately comes down to they kind of get trapped by Wes. Wes is a little bit hesitant on the trigger, and Strand ends up killing him with his sword. And so I have to admit, the sword kill is really awesome. I was never really a fan of Wes. He kind of comes in with that, him being a writer story arc, and it feels kind of out there and kind of ridiculous for like Walking Dead to have a character like that. Some of the characters in Fear the Walking Dead feel very gimmicky. I'm thinking like Althea with her camera. I'm thinking Wes is his writing thing. And just some of them, maybe John with the trick shooter thing. Some of them are just a little bit gimmicky. But okay, fair enough, whatever. Detective John Dory Sr. and stuff like this. They're just kind of gimmicky type of characters, some of them, but I don't have that comparison to the original Walking Dead series. They do have some ridiculous characters like Ezekiel with a lion and stuff like that, so it's I don't know, it's I guess when it's not from the comic book first, it feels a little bit more strange than it probably should. There was the beer guy. What was the beer guy? Was it Jim or Jimbo or whatever, the beer guy? So it's a little sometimes I don't know. But we see the final episode for Wes here. I'm happy to see that. I think that he was a natural villain in the series right away. I remember reading comments as soon as he came into the show. Basically, nobody really liked him. Maybe he felt too much like a Heath clone, and then after that, I don't know. It didn't feel like they really had a clear direction of what they were kind of doing with him. I think they tried to bring him in as like a hero character, and he just didn't. Whatever it was about him, it didn't resonate with viewers. They weren't really going for it. So, like they kind of were with Heath in the original series. So it didn't work, and then now they've made him a villain, which actually does probably make the most sense and worked out really well. So in the end, I like Wes, but I like him as a villain. I think he's a better villain. His story arc actually turns out to be pretty good, because he starts off as a kind of a hero type character, and he's in the middle, but there is a progression with his brother and that stuff towards that villainous side of things, where he's kind of cracked up and he's not after what he has to do with his brother in order for the group, and then it doesn't really mean anything after. It messes him up, so he cracks up a bit and then he becomes a villain, which I think makes sense, for him. So I really like how they finish things off with Wes. Thought it was a good finish for him. And then with respect to kind of the zombies coming in, you got the light on. And again, Strand goes right up to the light to turn it off after he's gone through all this with Alicia. And he's like hesitant. He's like, how do I know that I should? And it's like, I trust my instincts. He's like, totally. Speaking of cracking up, he doesn't make any sense, right? He's doing like this and he's doing that. And he's I'm going to do this. And then he goes and then he won't do it. And then so they fight. And then thing lands on it, knocks the light out, but there's all kinds of walkers there anyway. And Alicia goes up there, hooks up the transmitter to it, and calls out for everybody, which I'm assuming this is how Madison, maybe the CRM, who knows, will find their way there. I don't know. I'll let the fan theories begin there. And I'm also not sure for the preview for episode 15 if this is like a flashback episode, if this is like in Alicia's head, because she's like on the roof on top of the thing, and there's like fire everywhere, and it's like the most impossible bad situation you can ever find. And there's like zombies everywhere, and they're like radiation zombies, mutated and stuff. So it's like the worst situation you could probably ever find yourself in. But in episode 15, somehow she's not there, or she's somewhere else. So I don't know what's going on here. We'll see what happens with the last two episodes. But this one by itself, really awesome. Daniel's awesome in it. Monster. Strand, similar, but in his chaotic nature way of being kind of, what it is. Wes is awesome in the episode. Alicia's awesome in the episode. And let's see. Charlie's even really good in the episode for you feeling sympathetic for her. And but you can definitely see that Alicia's still mad at Strand because he got so trigger happy with just throwing people off of the top of the tower, right? Like he throws Will off, you remember? Throws Howard off. He just throws people off. Like, found a thing, throws him off, a walkie-talkie, throws him off the thing. So eventually people end up turning on him anyway. So it's really great. I'm going to give the episode a 10 out of 10. I love it. It's the best episode of Fear the Walking Dead this season. It's the best episode since the nuke went off. And I kind of feel like, okay, I sort of understand what they were saving budget for now. It's for nuclear explosions and giant towers with zombies everywhere. So things exploding and fire everywhere and all this. So okay. It makes sense now that you have some bottled off kind of episodes. And then you have like kind of a more epic one like this. Was really, really awesome. So leave your comments below. Let me know what you guys thought about this one. How do you see this season ending? How do you see Madison connecting in with Alicia, Strand, everybody who's still alive? And is Alicia going to be able to heal from this illness? She keeps passing out during intense fighting and stuff like this, and when times when she really shouldn't be. And what do you see? What do you see happening here? Going into season 8 for Fear the Walking Dead. So comments below. That's it for this video, guys. See you again soon for another. As always, this is Trev saying peace later, guys. See you soon.